Presenting now is Funmi John. He is an ethnomusicologist and lecturer at Lagos State University, Ojo. He holds a PhD in music and specializes in African indigenous musical traditions, with particular emphasis on Ogu and Yoruba musics of southwestern Nigeria. His research adopts ethnographic and analytical approaches to interrogate music's roles in cultural identity formation, social cohesion, and the preservation of intangible cultural heritage. His scholarly interests are grounded in African musicology and contributes to contemporary discourse on traditional music systems and their relevance within modern academic and cultural contexts. With a strong commitment to advancing African music education and empowering marginalized music communities. He will be presenting Music, Dance and Ritual Performance, an ethnographic study of Zenli among the Abomey people of Dahomey, Benin Republic.
Distinguished professors, good morning. Good morning, colleagues and attendees at the conference. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
Good morning.
Good morning. You are on. The platform is yours.
To paper, title, music and performance and of Zenli among the Abomey of Dahomey, present day. Alright, so to introduce the African musical tradition different from Western performance in important respects. Most African societies do not exist independently of ritual, costume, audience participation, social functions. All of these elements form what we know as especially in African culture. This understanding of emphasized by various scholars. Arom, African music, always studied within its cultural context. Zenli music is one of such indigenous performance traditions. It is practiced primarily among the Fon-speaking people of Abomey in the present-day Benin Republic and has historically been associated with royal funerals, ancestral worship, and important communal ceremonies. Despite its cultural significance, Zenli has received relatively little scholarly attention in the African music literature of scholarship. Most available, materials focus largely on its dance movement, while giving comparatively little attention to its musical organization and meaning. This paper, therefore, approaches Zenli from an ethnomusicological perspective by examining the interrelationship between its music, dance, and ritual function. Such problem. The motivation for this study emerged from three major observations. First, there is a relatively little scholarly documentation on Zenli compared to many other, musical performance traditions like bata, juju, amongst others. Second, the few existing studies tend to emphasize choreography or dance while paying limited attention to the musical process that organized the performance. Yet, within African performance traditions, movement derives its meaning largely from rhythm, song, instrumental accompaniment, and communal participation. Thirdly, the gradual influence of urbanization, Christianity, Islam, and of course, globalization has contributed to the transformation of many indigenous performance traditions. As older practitioners passed away, valuable knowledge concerning repertoire, performance practice, symbolism, uh, ritual procedures, they risk disappearing if it is not systematically documented. So the paper therefore seeks to contribute to the documentation of Zenli as an indigenous music tradition and to demonstrate that its significance extends beyond entertainment. Objectives. This study is set out to firstly examine the musical organization of Zenli by considering the relationship between the vocal performance, rhythmic accompaniment, and the instrumental ensemble. Secondly, we are investigating the ritual function of Zenli within royal funeral ceremonies and communal festivals. Thirdly, we will make an attempt at analyzing the interaction between the music and dance while demonstrating that movement in Zenli is structured and is structured by rhythmic organization rather than existing independently. Methodology. The study adopts an ethnographic research design, which is particularly appropriate for investigating indigenous performance traditions within their natural cultural setting. Data were collected through participant observation, interviews with practitioners and community members, direct observation of the performances, photographic documentation, and the review of relevant scholarly literature. Ethnography, ethnography was chosen because it allows the researcher to move beyond simply describing. Instead, it proves an opportunity to understand how performers themselves interpret the meaning of their music, dance, and ritual practices. I'm sorry, I would have loved to play an audio of the performance or even a video, but I have some constraints right now. Please permit me. So I'll talk a little about an historical background. Now, Zenli is traced to the origin of Zenli music is traced to the historic Dahomey kingdom. One of the most, of course, I'm sure we all agree with me that it's one of the most influential colonial states in West Africa. Historical accounts suggest that the tradition developed during the 19th century, particularly within the royal court of Abomey. The respondents, revealed that the music is closely associated with funeral ceremonies, especially of members of the royal family. And in recent times, according to some respondents, in recent times, it's been staged for some distinguished individuals in the community. Initially, Zenli functioned as a sacred performance, and reserved for ceremonial occasions, and then it's usually performed at night. And then over time, it's been gradually expanded beyond the royal court and has become incorporated into community festivals and public celebrations. Despite this transformation, Zenli has retained many of its original and ritual characteristics. Its musical structure, dance vocabulary, and ceremonial symbolism continue to reflect the historical worldview of the Abomey people and their enduring relationship with ancestral traditions. The evolution of Zenli thus illustrates how musical traditions can simultaneously serve continuity while adapting to changing social context. I'll discuss the musical features of Zenli. Uh, the musical dimensions of Zenli constitute the organizing framework of the entire performance. Rather than serving as an accompaniment to dance, the music provides rhythmic and structural foundations upon which movement is built. What I'm trying to say is that the movement for Zenli is entirely based on the rhythmic foundation provided by the musical instrument that are used in Zenli music. So Zenli performances are characterized by polyrhythmic organization. I'm very sorry, for not being able to play the music. And of course, if I play now, my device might not capture the sound, as appropriately as possible. So Zenli is characterized by polyrhythmic organization, as I said, where we have multiple rhythmic instruments interacting, to produce this unique musical texture. Another important characteristic is call and response singing, where we have a widespread feature. This is a common feature, of course, in West African musical tradition. Although this technique involves a lead singer introducing a phrase which is answered by the chorus, creating some form of continuous interaction between the soloist and the chorus, or in some cases, the chorus can even be the community. The instrumental ensemble that typifies Zenli music includes the Zen. The Zen is a clay pot, something that looks like the wood, but then this is purely clay, and so that nomenclature Zenli derives its name from this clay pot drum called Zen. Alongside, he uses the Akwesi drum. The Akwesi drum is what I like to describe as a basket drum. It's also a clay drum, but has this basket covering, something that can almost look like the way we have some leather around the talking drum. But this time, the Akwesi is like a pot drum, smaller in size compared to the Udu, and then now has this straps, around it. And then, of course, the musical ensemble also has gongs, rattle. There's also hand clapping, which all of these instruments accompany the vocals. Each instrument contributes a distinct rhythmic function, resulting in a layered musical texture that supports both the dance and the ritual activity. The performance is cyclic rather than linear. What I mean by cyclic here is you have this a medley of various thematic songs, and then the performance goes on and on and on, as long as the ritual process is on. So this cyclic nature allows singers, instrumentalists, and dancers to sustain the performance for an extended period of time without disrupting the musical flow. These musical characteristics demonstrate that rhythm is not merely an accompaniment to movement, rather it structures the entire performance and determines the organization of the dance. Now, dance and ritual. Within Zenli performance, dance serves as the visible expression of musical and ritual meaning. The choreography or the dance is distinguished by circular formations, coordinated footwork, expressive shoulder movement, bodily gestures that are widely understood within the community as symbols of spiritual communication and collective activity. One particular distinctive feature, I must say, is the imitation of the serpentine movement. You know, I try to give a translation, you know, the translation of the initial word, which I'm not proficient with because it was given in Ogu language. And then I try to interpret as serpentine movement. And this reflects the historical association between Zenli and the religious traditional belief among the Abomey people, where the snake occupies, occupies an important symbolic position in their cosmology and ritual practices. So in the dance of Zenli, there is an imitation of snake-like movement, you know. Equally significant is the participatory nature of the performance, because in Zenli music, as also evident in most African music documented by a number of scholars, there's really no distinct. One cannot distinguish between the ensemble and the audience, you know, because there is it's characterized by this participatory nature, where perhaps due to inspiration or some form of appreciation, it's not perfect for a member of the audience to join the dancers or even the members of the instrumental ensemble, even while the performance is on. So there's no rigid separation between the performance and the spectators. Audience members respond through singing, clapping, verbal encouragement. Some can even give monetary appreciation, you know, and sometimes, like I said, spontaneous participation. This interaction reinforces the communal character of Zenli and reflects a broader African aesthetic in which performance is created collectively rather than individually. So ritually, Zenli functions as a medium through which the living honor their ancestors. You know, in Zenli music, the music is used to commemorate the deceased and reaffirm communal values. In this sense, music, dance, and ritual are not separate activities. Rather, they constitute different dimensions to a single cultural event. Having examined the historical and musical and ritual dimensions of Zenli, I'd like to present some form of findings. First is that Zenli is best understood as an integrated music and dance performance, a music and dance complex, rather than just a dance transition.
Hello, Dr. Funmi.
Alone.
Hello, Dr. Funmi.
Hello, sir.
Sorry to interrupt you.
Sir.
Could you please round up in 1 minute? You are already 1 minute past your time now, please.
All right.
Please round up in 1 minute, then we'll go into this.
Right. So secondly, I've studied. All right. Noted. So the study revealed that the rhythm functions as an organizing principle of the entire performance. And then my third finding concerns that the communicative function, you know, of the performance. In other words, the performance is significant. And unlike the Western tradition, where music is usually staged, you know, for art purposes, Zenli here is functional. There's a reason why Zenli is performed. Okay, I'll just like to state a contribution of the study The study documents one of the indigenous or adds to the documentation of indigenous musical tradition in West Africa. Thank you very much.
So the first thing I want to ask you, thanks for the interesting ethnographic details and description, which are quite interesting and insightful. So if I can understand clearly what you're talking about, you said your work is quite new, of course, it's evident, but I'm just asking myself, are there no scholars who have worked historically in this part of Dahomey culture, particularly in the last 80 years, without even thinking so much? I can talk about Mervyn Escovitz's work, Azog, Elizabeth McAllister, who have worked detailed, the culture you're talking about in Benin. There are a lot of them we can keep counting, particularly the North American cultural anthropologists and musical anthropologists. And one of their founding fathers is Mervyn Escovitz. Then Gerard Kubik also did a lot of work in collaboration with Escovitz in this area. Then the wife of David McAllister, Elizabeth, also did a significant work comparing about several cultures around that area with those of Kira in Jamaica of today. So what do you have to say regarding that?
From sources within my reach, documents on Zenli music itself has been kept for a long time, because when I went for this field work, I was informed by the respondents that a number of rituals were actually staged, because, like I said, the music is not just staged; it's used for ritual purposes, and then ritual purposes of distinguished personalities, especially members of the royal family. So when I went for the field work, there are a number of rituals that were carried out or that were supposedly carried out.
Okay, perhaps, hello, so Dr. Funmi. Dr. Funmi.
Yeah, I'm with you, sir.
You perhaps missed my question. I'm talking about the historical trajectory of scholarship in this area, particularly in the Dahomey region, which your work belonged to. In terms of literature, that's what I mean. Yeah, the literature. What are these trajectory?
Yes. A lot has been written on history. A lot of literature have been written on this area, this Abomey culture, Dahomey culture, and all of those. But what's new here is the documentation music. There are lots of documentation on anthropology.
Okay, excuse me. Can I say something to you? Okay. Sorry. I think my point is exactly what you're just mentioning. You work within ethnomusicology. I think on my list and what is very visible, up to 5 ethnomusicologists have worked in that area. And that's what I'm trying to say earlier. Perhaps, of course, we can make document or get things ready. That's what I'm saying, that look, people have worked on this area. So perhaps the question is gap in terms of assessing these literatures or this conversation. And that's what I'm trying to open to you. Perhaps you can consider them as you advance this work. So because you open by saying nobody has done this work and you are the one, which I agree with you, beautiful ethnographic description, but the work itself is rooted in years of scholarly advancement. I spoke about McAllister. She's one of the founding pioneers of ethnomusicology, for instance, the wife of McAllister. So these are the things you might want to consider.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. So maybe there is nothing for me to add, just to say that And this applies to many of us. We always say nobody has done this thing before. And it's not true. Thousands of people have done something there before. So Dr. Funmi, I know how brilliant you are and very diligent in your research. What you should do now is to explain how your work builds on those previous research. Until you do that, this work is not ready. Okay? So just explain. And you don't have to go into too much details. This is precisely what I am adding to this previous work, which means you have to briefly summarize what those studies were all about. Knowledge thing is a cumulative process. We add something little, and then we generate knowledge. So nobody here should ever say, nobody has done this thing before. Nobody should say, if you are saying that, it means you've not read enough. Don't say that thing. Don't say it again. Thousands of people have done it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Prof. We have 1 minute, one more question from perhaps online. Our friends online, if you have question, or in person, we have one more slot for the next 2 minutes. Or okay, Prof wants it.
So unfortunately, I have to disagree with my colleague here because there is a politics to citation. And I have talked to well-meaning African scholars, senior African scholars, who have said the West or earlier researchers got it wrong. And so why bother to cite them? I'm just going to tell you what I know from authentic research that I have done. I don't necessarily agree with that, but I'm just saying it's a point of view. Because when you think about the burden of previous research, it's considerable. And you're saying that before I can open my mouth, I should go and read all of those things, summarize them before I say what I've observed. There has to be another way. I'm just going to put it that way. Now we're starting a debate here.
Yes. The point is that Professor Agawu's work, even when he disagrees, he will go through all those things.
Yeah.
This person did this. This person did that. So I disagree with you, my dear friend.
Okay. Thanks so much. Dr. Funmi, I hope you understand the response, and I wish you all the best as we progress in this research. So looking forward to hear more from you, perhaps. So